Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Marius drawing. Well, Marius didn't draw this, I drew this. But it is a picture of Marius and some of his companions from the first two films. Fairy Forest 3 is still on its way. It's taking a while to get through production, but eventually we will get it done and put it on the channel. Perhaps I've never explained why October 31st is Marius Day. That would be because the original Fairy Forest film was premiered, you might say, on October 31st. The original film was a student film project for our filmmaking class. One of the prompts was to include a pumpkin, so that's why we have the horseless headman and Punky in there. Because, of course, you know, that season that it's going to be in, which it has now been taken over by Marius. But anyway, it was initially premiered in class on October 31st, and then later the spelling errors and special effects problems were corrected, and I put it up on the well, initially I put it up on my own YouTube channel, but then eventually I created the Fairy Forest YouTube channel. And if you haven't figured it out by now, I am Francisco. I play Roger in the Fairy Forest films. I also came up with the sort of story and characters. I created a lot of the costumes. I directed the first film. Of course, Tiffany also helped greatly sort of flesh out and kind of nail down the story and wrote the script. And Michelle kind of came up with the story for the second movie. I helped co-direct that one. She directed it, and Tiffany wrote the script for that. And I'm currently the director for the Fairy Forest 3, which is still in production and will come out eventually. I know it's been a very long production, but it can't be helped just due to the nature of the beast. It's not a class project, or like the second one, we made it for as a sort of crossover with the ongoing TV show at the time, the student television station, JAG TV, which I was also the showrunner on, the Meddler, and several other shows. So we did it sort of a crossover event. Anyway. So in this drawing, I decided to just kind of have... Oh, excuse me. So, first, it was just kind of fun that the first movie came out, or was initially premiered on October 31st, but then I believe the second movie, or at least the JAG TV version of it, that is a crossover. Later we did a director's cut that made it its own thing and not a crossover. But the second one was also aired. It went up on the JAG TV YouTube channel initially on October 31st, I believe. Then the director's cut I put up on the Fairy Forest channel eventually. So when we thought that we were going to do a Fairy Forest 3 and knew that there was no time to do it, I just thought that it would be fun to put something up on October 31st to keep the tradition alive the following year, and that was the Marius interview, I believe. And then after that we did a few other Marius things, and then we started filming Fairy Forest 3, but there's no way we could get it out this year for October 31st, which is now Marius Day. So, this year, I have created this silly drawing of Marius and his friends. The one that's going up right now, being painted in, is one of the corrupted and stolen pumpkin spirits that he steals in the second movie, The Return to Fairy Forest, and then of course that's Pumpkin Marius down there, which was the corrupted Punky, and then over on the right is the Horseless Headman, which that was one of the prompts in the prompts in the original film when we were making it for class, was to include a pumpkin because it would come out on October 31st, or it was due. Anyway, then the red sprite gets in there as well. There's going to be a couple more sprites in this new one, but I decided to just include characters that were in the first two films. We're also going to get to meet some of the Marius family, which will be quite exciting in the third film, when it eventually comes out. Speaking of things on the horizon planned for Fairy Forest, I am also working on you might call it a novelization of the film Fairy Forest, and the second film, Return to Fairy Forest, and the third film, Escape from Fairy Forest. My plan currently is to write them as sort of short novellas, I suppose, combine them, all three of them together, and release them as one full-length novel that's broken into 3 parts, if that makes any sense, and if that's even doable. I would like to publish it someday. I don't know what exactly that will look like, because I am currently just focusing on, getting it written and trying to film Fairy Forest 3. But yeah, I'm going to begin a third draft of Fairy Forest soon, and I'm currently working on the first draft of Return to Fairy Forest, which is actually going to create quite a bit of changes. It's not a direct novelization, because it's not exactly the film. I'm taking a lot of liberties with the stories. It follows the same basic plot, but I make some changes to sort of flesh out the world some more, and sort of give us more to the story than there was before. Adding several new characters, a lot of new lore, a lot of some new locations, changing some things. Basically, the films were always made with, our budget of nothing. Basically anything that we spent on it came out of our own pockets, or like the costumes, for instance, were reused LARP costumes that I had created, yada yada yada. But with a novel, I can just write whatever I want. So we'll get to see a lot more fleshed out locations. In fact, if you are wondering why the red sprite is wearing a flower crown in this image, it's because he has a flower crown in the novel. Though I'm not really sure why he would be fanning Marius. It's just a funny picture. I like to kind of reuse colors a lot in these drawings that I do digitally, just to kind of create a sort of internal consistency within the image. You know, I don't need to be having like 7 different shades of brown for things. I can just, you know, the brown I use for Marius's mask and his shoes and his staff, and Pumpkin Marius's stem and all that stuff. It could all be the same brown. The gray, silvery color for the staff there can be the same as for his socks, etc., etc. I think the most unique colors are probably the green for the big palm frond, and then the colors of the captured pumpkin's soul spirit. Yeah. Now we're just working on some shading here. Yeah, drawing the process for this is fun. Just kind of drawing these characters out. The pumpkins are fun because you just kind of make this kind of blob and then fill it in as a pumpkin. Marius is a little harder because he's a full character, you know, kind of sort of get the proportions right, but he's also a fairy, so it doesn't have to be exactly right. And of course they're going to be chilling in the Marius dimension, or the Feywild, or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, we can distort some things sometimes. Not 100% happy with how the flames on this pumpkin turned out, but I kind of like it also. It's fine. I think the spirit pumpkin turned out better, but we like the horse's head. In fact, he's just a head here. I forgot to give him his gauntlets. So here I'm just creating the background, just creating a grid, because, you know, in the Marius dimension they're on that purple grid sometimes, with the mountains in the background, and all the aurora borealis or whatever's in the sky. And so I just kind of drew squiggles and stuff, and then I added some noise and blurred it out with some filters to kind of make it a little more tolerable and likable. Add a little ground shading there, and yeah. So have a happy Marius Day.